Yeah, you know it. So coming up, we have another amazing artist from Moreland, Pennsylvania. Yes, I'm reading my notes as I'm talking here because I have an old brain. I'm never going to remember all of this. People, lay off. Anyway, from Moreland, Pennsylvania, Mr. Chris Pick. How you doing tonight, sir?
How you doing tonight?
I'm
Doing
good.
good.
I'm good. I am loving your room, your decor. You are bringing us into Christmas here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hey, kids help with that.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. How old are they?
4 and 6. Yeah,
Perfect.
and that's why you have kids, right? So they
So
actually do
they
the
can decorate.
dishes. Yeah, no.
You know, um, I can't disagree with that. I have a daughter who does all of my Christmas decorating. I haven't done decorating in years. A
Makes it
lot.
fun. They do all the work. We just sit back and enjoy.
Exactly, exactly. I feel like Mary, Mary sits back
Yeah.
and treasures up everything. That's a yes, I can totally relate. I can totally relate. So, Mr. Chris, this is my first time meeting you. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about yourself.
Well, I've been doing music probably since I'm like 4 or 5 years old. Classically trained. Went to music school. Um, was fortunate, blessed, I guess you could say, to work with a lot of great musicians in all different fields of music. The Christian genre, even the old '60s pop genre, working with people from Rich Mullins band, the Ragamuffin band, to Davy Jones of the Monkees. Um, all kinds of great artists I've gotten a chance to work with over the years, which has been an inspiration too with what I do with writing music, recording music, and then I also teach music too.
Oh, that's so cool that you have that like you said, that blessing of being able to meet all these different people and being able to pull from their lives and their artwork and
Yeah.
be inspired by them. That's amazing.
Yes, yeah, it is. And it is an inspiration because I watch what they do and how they give back to people and it just helps me realize, hey, you got to do the same.
Yeah, that's what we're called to do. That's why God gave us this gift, right? He didn't give us
Exactly.
this gift so that we'll go sit in the corner and stay in the background. Our gift puts us right out there in front of people and
Exactly. Yep.
makes his word heard. Oh, that's so cool. So tell us about your first song for us.
Well, the first one is kind of a little medley of three songs, all just kind of crammed together real fast. And it's from the first song is actually called "Christmas in the World." It's from an EP I did with the late great Rick Elias from the Ragamuffin Band, where we used some members of the Ragamuffin Band on the project. And it was just an idea I had when someone asked me one time to play something Christmassy at a church service. I don't usually do Christmas songs. I listen to Christmas music, but I don't usually play Christmas songs. And she said to me, "If you can't come up with something, maybe you could just write something." And I just remembered being in being in South America, watching how people celebrate Christmas in like third world nations where mothers would actually even kill their own children rather than see them starve to death.
Mm.
And that was kind of like mind blowing to me to realize that we celebrate over here in Pennsylvania with snow and Christmas trees, whereas you go to the Middle East, it's sand and palm trees. And
Mhm.
so I just kind of like was taking all the traditions around the world, putting it all together in one song. And then I'll go from that right into another song I did called Yes, Virginia, which I wrote the night of the Virginia Tech tragedy back in 2007. I just couldn't sleep that night. Both my wife and I are teachers, and um, it was kind of like the only way that I could get a little bit of peace was just kind of poured out into a song. And both songs are on my EP called Christmas in the World. And I'll have a little bit of a sample of a song from my new EP, which is called Lullabies from Bethlehem, in it too. It goes a little something like this.
Awesome.
Smoky lamps light up the rooftop of a Rishikesh. And there's banana trees all decorated and mango leaves below. Paper lanterns placed in windows around China tonight announce that the special time of year has finally arrived. In Sydney, young and old, read carols from midnight to morn. Religious pilgrims flood Bethlehem to see where Jesus was born. New York's malls are filled with shoppers and people on the go. As children wait on Santa Claus, parents kiss under mistletoe. It's Christmas in the world, a time of love and joy, peace on the earth. But it's all there is to Christmas every year. Or have we forgotten the reason why it's here? In Colombia, a woman cries as she lays and prays in bed. She considers killing her only child, then watching her starve to death. Her husband's been on the job all day, but he doesn't bring home much. And he questions if Jesus really loves the world, or has he forgotten us? There's a homeless man on the streets of Chicago, bundled up in ragged clothes. It's cold outside and the streets are empty, and he's got no place to go. There's a candle in the window, but the doors inside are locked. Just another silent night for the homeless on the block. It's Christmas in the world, a time of love and joy and peace on the earth. But this is all there is to Christmas every year. Or have we forgotten the reason why it's here? A Savior having born to us. The greatest gift of all had come to die upon the cross, set us free and give us hope to carry on. And that's a gift that keeps on giving all year long. Do they know? Have they heard that a Savior has come? And it's Christmas time. Let's be the light like the stars so long ago. Let it shine. 400 years of silence God's people did endure. As their cries went out to God, they questioned if he heard that an angel appeared to an old man and a frightened little girl, with good news of the promise God is coming into the world. And it's Christmas in the world, a time of love and joy and peace on the earth. This is a message of Christmas every year. So tell the world, love has come, love is here, and have no fear, for a Savior has been born to us. The greatest gift of all, sent to the poor and to the lost, to set them free and give them hope to carry on. So share the gift and make it Christmas all year long. She walks alone most every night, feels alone, she lost the light, and she can't see the way. So it is day to day. Her friends and family are gone. She's got no reason to go on. Others point fingers and find blame. She walks in the rain. Ah, Virginia, it's gotta get real dark just to see the stars. No, Virginia, true love is never far. Oh, Virginia, the star shines over you. Just look up. Yes, Virginia, there is a God. Well, love is patient, love is kind. Love can lead, it is not blind. So don't listen to the lies no more. Our light shines to lead the way. Just walk in love day by day. Stand up and walk through the door. Whoa. Ah, Virginia, it's gotta get real dark just to see the stars. No, Virginia, true love is never far. Oh, Virginia, a star shines over you. Just look out. Yes, Virginia, there is a God. Oh, Virginia, it's gotta get real dark just to see the stars. No, Virginia, true love is never far. Oh, Virginia, a star shines over you. Just look up. Yes, Virginia. Oh, Virginia, it's hard to see in tragedy, but there is a God. And that's Yes, Virginia.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You know, you just remembering back to that, and you know, we've had so many tragedies like that. You know, it just brings tears to my eyes that it takes moments like those to, I don't know. I'm not even sure where I'm going with that, but you brought a tear to my eye just remembering all of that tragedy.
It's one of the things I think with the gift of music, we're given it to not only express how we feel, but just to kind of use it to bring hope to other people. And it's kind of how I've taken a couple of tragedies in life and just kind of poured it out like that in songs. As a matter of fact, the project I did with Rick Elias, that Christmas in the World was first on, was called Tragedies and Miracles. He kind of pointed out to me, he's like, you got a lot of songs about tragedies on here. So it's like, it kind of inspired me. I was like, okay, better write some songs about hope too. And there was a song on there called The Greatest Tragedy of All. And right after that, I wrote the song called The Greatest Miracle. And he pointed out, he's like, okay, you got these two songs on there. They kind of go to, he goes, I think we need to stick with that, because usually I'd say, okay, you don't want two songs with the word greatest on there. Yep. But he said, you need to put a little hope with the tragedy on it. that became the title, Tragedies and Miracles.
Otherwise you end up with a Joni Mitchell album.
Exactly. Yeah.
My God.
Exactly.
Oh, I wish I had a river, the most depressing Christmas song ever. But you're right though, and it's sad that it takes sometimes those tragedies to remind us, because for some people that's proof that there isn't a God. And for me, I know my kids have asked me, my kids are older than yours. They're all pushing, well, one of them's in their 20s and then the other two are pushing 20. So we've had these conversations and they've said, how can God allow that? And the answer is that, we live in a fallen world, and this world,
Yeah.
because of that, is not perfect, and there is sin and evil and horrible things in this world. And yes, for a time God will allow that to go on, but in the end, it's because it turns us to him. We realize there is no hope in this world. Our only hope is him. And I think you encompass that. That's where I was trying to go. I knew there was a point I was making.
Yeah,
But
and lately I've been using my music to fight cancer and like doing concerts and all that just because I lost not only both my parents, but so many close friends of mine, even missionary friends. And I have several friends right now that are fighting cancer. And I remember a couple of years ago, this one missionary girl I know, she's just a young girl. Uh, she adopted two kids. Then when they found out they couldn't have kids, they ended up finding out they could have kids, but then she got diagnosed with a rare cancer
oh,
that they couldn't save her life. And I started focusing more on trying to not just write songs of hope, but also see if we can use the music to fight and help people who are in situations like that. And so by doing that's what the project we've been working on for it's going on 2 years now, but I got all my friends in the music business. I asked them, I said, I'd like it if you could all help me out with this project. And I was surprised they all jumped in and wanted to be a part of it.
that's amazing. That's amazing. But yeah, it's the ability to come together and utilize our gifts that God has given us to, you know, point people back to him
Yeah.
through the senseless, through the horrible, through those tragedies. There are still miracles. And
Hmm.
even if we don't see it on this side of heaven, someday we're going to be in a place where there is no sickness and there is no evil and darkness, and it'll all make sense. And
Yep.
we just get through this. We need to endure, but our hope is in Jesus.
And when I think about all the tragedies with all these famous musicians like Keith Green, Rich Mullins, and I always think about that parable that Jesus talked about the seed. When the seed falls and dies, look what it produces.
Yeah,
And yeah, a tragedy happens, but look at what happens because of that tragedy. The enemy doesn't win.
so true. So true. It's like when the forest fires rip through areas, those there are plants that will not grow until there's a fire. That they need that fire to sprout. So it takes this destruction, this horrible, horrible act, the death to bring the life. And if you think about it, that's Jesus's whole ministry, his death
Exactly.
during our life. Uh,
Exactly.
uh, Wow. I feel like I could just talk to you all night about like this. But let's get back because I know everyone online is waiting. You got another song, you got another couple songs for us, right?
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
Real quick, little piece of housekeeping. Red requested that you kind of tilt your microphone a little bit to the right because you were catching the side of it a little bit. There you go.
Yeah.
That should pick up your voice a little bit better. So tell us about your next song here, brother.
Well, this is a song. I I'm influenced by a lot of great songwriters over the years, and one of them that kind of surprised me, and I've been a big fan of for a long, long time, was Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. The fact that he could put jazz harmonies, chords, and just create that beach sound, and
Mhm.
he had this idea a long time ago to do an album that he called um, basically a symphony to God. And he said he wanted to write these songs, these notes that would actually keep going up higher and higher and higher till they reached God. And I thought, from a Christian standpoint, he called it his masterpiece. And I thought if I could write a song and call it Masterpiece and do the same thing, except actually use chords that keep progressing, keep modulating, start in B flat, go to C, go to D.
Mm.
That is what I tried to do with it, with this song, and it worked. And it was one of the ones I did with the Rags too. And their drummer really liked this one. It's called Masterpiece. In the beginning, there was love and there was light, morning, day, and night, and the stars are shining bright over paradise. In the beginning, there was man and his wife, a marriage made for life, with no struggles and no strife. It was a beautiful life. God made his masterpiece, an expression of his love, power, and glory. His love story. It was a masterpiece, more awesome than a Mozart symphony or a Picasso painting. It was meant to be you and me. In the beginning, there was music and there was dance, love and romance, the perfect, all according to plan. And the angels sang in a heavenly choir. Man walked and talked with God, and that was his desire. God made his masterpiece, an expression of his love, power, and glory. His love story. It was a masterpiece, more awesome than a Mozart symphony or a Picasso painting. It was meant to be you and me. God takes a junk in man's life, makes it a work of art, and it all starts with just a grain of sand. The greatest suffered for his work, but in his passion he gave grace to those who pierced the potter's hand. Where you could still see the stars that Abraham saw, taste the water from the river of life. Where you can find peace on earth, experience new birth. You can have paradise with Jesus Christ. Yeah, God made his masterpiece, an expression of his love, power, and glory. His love story. It was a masterpiece, more awesome than a Mozart symphony or a Picasso painting. It was meant to be. It was meant to be for you and me. That's called Masterpiece.
All right. Oh my gosh, how gorgeous is that?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You know, I have have a really good friend who once said, if you don't believe in God, you're not paying attention. And that's what your song just made me think about, that whole song.
That's a good point. That is a really good point you brought up.
Oh my gosh. But you just put it beautifully in that song that he's
Oh,
ever.
thank you, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were trying our best to see if we could get all the stuff about creation out there, and just try to make a song, because people point out all the time. Like we talked about, I put all the stuff about tragedies and things like that in the songs, and they said, just be nice if you could put something out there that has so much hope all the way through it.
Oh my gosh. Point us back. Point us back.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. So in your bio, Chris, you talk about that you and your wife are both teachers and missionaries. Can you talk a little bit about what your work and what all you've done?
Yeah. I've been to Asia a lot. Places in Asia where it's kind of forbidden to do street preaching and things like that. Where I remember a couple trips where I had to go into hiding just because of the police and the FBI that were in that area. That I had to keep. I had to keep low for a little bit just so I didn't get caught. That was sort of my wake up call to the whole persecuted church. It didn't stop us. We keep going back. We partner with several ministries too, like Gospel for Asia, Voice of the Martyrs. Um, so whenever I go and do a concert, it seems weird to say this, but I actually bring a lot of free books and DVDs that I hand out to people at the concerts. I do it for the ministries that we support. Um, I do a lot of work on Native American reservations too, from the Navajo, Lakota, the Ute. Um, and I remember Rick Elias, who I was talking about. Very good. He was a very good friend of mine. He passed away from cancer a few years ago, and he was the one that connected me with Rich Mullins' old ministry of teaching music to kids on Indian reservations. And I even go with some of his family to another reservation. Um, it's the one that my wife actually got involved with before I did, and she was the one that kept saying to me over and over again. She's just said, you go to Asia, go South America, and places like that. You need to go to these reservations to see how bad it is in our own backyard.
Mhm.
And I remember just like India, I wanted to go. I didn't want to go to India. Like I made the excuse over the years, like saying, "Well, I don't have the money or I don't have the time." I learned you don't say that ever in ministry. Because every single time the money just showed up. There's like just, and I remember I was scared to death about going to places like India and all that, and I remember that was my excuse. I didn't have the money, and then it shows up in the mail, and they told me it was from an anonymous giver. It covered my whole trip. I was like,
Yep.
well, I can't make that excuse anymore.
Yep.
So I kind of found out that I've always gone to the places I never wanted to go. The
Mm,
places I wanted to go, God has said no.
yeah.
And so I've had my heart set on certain areas, and every single time God has shut the door, or He'll bring me to an area, and then He'll shut the door and move me to another area.
Mhm.
Um, that is actually where my heart is. And many, many times I've tried to give up the music and just focus on that. And I always I get brought right back to the music again. And I remember one time, even when we were in India, they were asking me to go to all these villages and just do free concerts. And I thought that was kind of cool because I went over thinking I'm going to go over there and preach, teach, and all that. And here I'm going around India and all these villages, these tribal areas, and just doing concerts. And the kids loved it. And, it opened doors for me to actually talk with people too.
Yeah.
So I found out that I guess God wants me to stay with this.
It seems like he's kind of made that clear.
Yeah, yeah. There's many times, even when I'm teaching music, where I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's not that I don't love writing music. I don't love performing. I don't like the business part of it. And I think if you've ever watched stories about all these Christian artists like Keith Green and them, and even secular artists who've gotten involved in music, it's always the business part that always dwindles the flame, I should say.
Yeah.
And that's the part. If I didn't have to deal with that, I probably wouldn't complain.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that. You know, none of us got into this because we're business people. We got into this
Exactly.
because we're musicians.
Exactly.
Like, wait,
I think,
well, there are other people that can do that, right?
yeah. I will say this: the Beatles had it right when they figured out a way to just focus on recording music in the studio and not tour and not have to deal with all that stuff.
But you know, look at what they had to do before, you know, to get that, to
Yeah.
get all of the things that they had to do, and all of the, you know,
All the hard work. Yep.
they paid the
Yep.
price.
They
And
did.
then, you know, nobody thought that they would be able to do it. They didn't think they would be able to pull it off. Everyone was telling me, "You crazy? You got to tour. You got
Yeah,
to."
they were rejected by a big record label before they were actually signed. So I mean, if the Beatles were turned down, when I get turned down by someone, I don't complain.
Right. Oh gosh, all of it, like anyone that you know their name of, they've been turned down. Nobody was, you know, nobody was first, you know, first draft pick or whatever.
Yeah.
Not the big names anyways. You
Yep.
know. Oh my
And
God.
I have to laugh when I have students of mine say, "Oh, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go to New York City. I'm going to make it big and all that." And I'm like, you really need to do your homework. You better start reading about some of these people and the fight that they had to go through.
Yeah,
And I encourage them. I encourage them. I just warn them. I say, it's a fight. You got to keep going.
yeah. Oh, God bless them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to New York once, long time ago. I was determined. I was like, maybe if I just go and you know, I didn't even get through the front door. You know, they won't even take your call. I don't know how you do this.
It's like Nashville too. It's the same
Yeah,
thing with Nashville. Yep.
exactly. Like they just know if you don't know, you're not going to get anywhere. And how do
Exactly.
you know? Well, I don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet. If you know, can you DM me? Oh my gosh, you're funny. You're funny. So I'm 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 counting on the fact that you got at least one more here, brother.
I got lots of music I could
You
do.
got lots of
So
music.
I'll leave this one up to you. I got a new EP out. It's got a little bit of classical music in it. And I got a classical song I could do, or I could do one of my Christian songs that I've done over the years, and I make sure I play this at every single concert. So I could do something new or do something old. Leave it up to you.
You know, for whatever reason, I'm feeling led to go with the classical just because I think the celebration of genres tonight, I think it would really be, I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
Okay. Well, I need to explain this one before I play it real quick.
Okay.
It's called Mary's Dream, and it's I took a well-known hymn called "What Child Is This?" Everyone knows it, and I realized it blends with a Beethoven song. So rather than call it a Beethoven Christmas, which would have been a cheesy way to call it, I was trying to think about what Mary went through
Mm.
and having birthed the Messiah. And the hymn talks about what child is this. So I was thinking, okay, she's pondering the Messiah. What is going to happen when all of a sudden she remembers the prophecies, Isaiah 53, and she realizes before Simeon even can tell her that sword is going to pierce her heart. And this is what I tried to bring out in doing this. And I remember I took it to my producer when we were working on this, and he said, "Wow, I didn't think that these two songs could go together." And he said, "I even got a better idea. Let's put some real strings on it and take a Beethoven song that never had strings before, and let's put them on." And this is what we came up with. And that's called Mary's Dream.
Wow. You're right. I would have never put those two together, but it's like they were always meant to be together.
Yeah. And I gotta admit, I've written a lot of classical songs, but to actually take two famous classical pieces like that and put them together and create a brand new song out of it that actually helps you reflect on the Christmas story was actually my favorite thing to do.
I love that. I love that. I was just sitting back and just I could feel the emotion, and I think that's the gifting that
Yeah.
gives us as musicians, that we're able to just be, what's the word I'm looking for? We're able to just convey that emotion through the music, and you do it so beautifully.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And that's one of the ones we put on my Bandcamp page where most of my stuff on there is free. Like you can download a lot of stuff on there for free, but if people buy it, we give the money to the Health Well Foundation to see
Okay.
if they to help cancer patients with treatment.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
And I have a wonderful producer, John Roginski, who feels the same way I do. And he just told me, he goes, "Hey, if you're giving them away, I'm not going to charge you to produce them."
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
What a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
What a blessing.
So he takes a lot of time out of his schedule to make this stuff sound good. And
Yeah, it's a big
yeah.
job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My
So kudos to him for helping make it good.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for doing that and giving him that shout out. That's well deserved. Oh my goodness. Well, that was absolutely amazing, Chris. Do you have one more for us, or was that it?
I can do one
I
more.
don't even
I'm going to shorten it up just a little bit then. I shortened that one up just to make it a little bit more time.
Okay.
Oh, here's one that actually was on a lot of radio stations. It's more of an acoustic version of it though, and it's called "The Greatest Tragedy of All." It was one of the ones I did with Rick, and um, I really like what he did with guitar on it, and with using some of his band members for the with percussion and everything. But this was actually how I wrote it, and basically I was at a church service where a missionary had just come in from Southeast Asia and was talking about that tsunami that hit
Mm.
Southeast Asia. And he blew me away when he said the greatest tragedy of all wasn't the fact that a giant wave almost wiped out half a nation. The greatest tragedy of all was many of those people there did not have a savior. He was searching for God, but in the wrong direction. Yet in his mind he believed he found the way. He was living in sin, tolerated through his gospel. By lies and half-truths he was led astray. And he believes he'll someday be in heaven as he goes out with some guys and has a ball. And he wouldn't care if he didn't make it to heaven, That's the greatest tragedy of them all. Jesus died for us, but resurrected with a message to love and carry on with his work. Now here we are, 2,000 years later. We hate our brothers and we become a broken church. As a body divided, we can't help but fall. And that's the greatest tragedy of them all. We try to blame it on the devil. We point fingers at each other. But we all have the freedom and choice. We're all accountable for each other. Listen to this part. There are children dying. They don't know about Jesus. In poverty, they're crying out. Can someone save us? We know, but we refuse to serve by answering their call. And that's the greatest tragedy of them all. Oh yes, we know, but we refuse to serve by answering their call. That's the greatest tragedy of them all. Little nod and tribute there to the late, great Rick Glass.
That was beautiful. That was
Thank
beautiful. Poignant reminder, especially this time of year.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, Chris, I have really enjoyed this time with you and meeting you and getting to know you and your music a little bit better.
Yeah, this is fun on a Saturday night. I almost didn't make this in time. I was teaching and I got in like 10 minutes before sound check.
Oh, no. Well, we're glad you did.
Yeah, because we had an ice storm recently and the roads are terrible.
Oh, no. I hope you guys are all okay and all safe.
Oh, yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. Yeah, trying to do sound check a couple of nights ago with Red did not go so well because it was during the storm.
Yes, yeah. We had a little bit. I mean, I'm here in Connecticut. It was mostly just rain by the time it got out here, though. So, wow, I feel for you. Those ice storms.
Yeah, we were supposed to get a lot of snow. We got mostly ice.
Wow.
That's the part of the year I don't like is when we get all the ice.
No. Oh, they can be brutal.
Yeah.
Wow. Stay safe, my friends. But
thank you. Thank you.
While we've got you here, let me just ask you, promote thyself, amazing artist.
Well, I'm all over the place too, like just about everyone tonight. iTunes, Amazon, Spotify. But I always tell people, go to my Bandcamp page. It's Chris Pick. Pick as in like guitar pick. Mm-hmm. chrispick.bandcamp.com. You can listen to the music for free and choose to buy it if you want to. And usually, I think just about every project on there, I'm donating the proceeds to the Health Well Foundation, especially the projects I do with Rick and the new one I got coming out. It's called Trina for my friend Trina. Mitch McVicker's on a couple of songs with me. And I just tell people, I was like, this is the easiest way to listen to it, decide if you want it. And if you do, the money will actually go to a good cause.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. And
thank you for having me on. Thank you, Red, too.
Yes. Thank you, Brother Red. Have a Merry Christmas, you and your family. I hope you
Merry Christmas. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll do this again sometime.